What's up, y'all? It's Daniel the Shoemmelier, and this is the third video in a series where I list who I think are the best / my favorite sneaker designers / collaborators. Now, in the first video, I listed 11 starters. Why 11 and why starters? Well, I decided to put together a dream team, a fantasy roster, if you will, of designers / collaborators. And I used 11 because 11 is the starting lineup for American football, for soccer, and for hockey. And I did list some bench players as well. The second video, I cropped it down just a little bit to a starting lineup of 9. 9 being the amount of starters on baseball teams, not taking a DH into account. But like the first video, I listed some bench players. Now, in this video, we cut it down even further to a starting 5. That's right. In basketball, you have 5 players on a team starting playing on the court. So I put together my starting 5. I put together a small bench, and as an added bonus for this video and this video only, I put together a third list, a G League, if you will. So let's get into who my starting 5 would be of my favorite / best sneaker designers / collaborators. Just like the first 2 videos, we will go in alphabetical order. First up, Salehi Bembury, who has done so much in a limited amount of time when you really think about it. There's New Balance, there's Versace, there's Clarks, there's Puma hoops, there's Crocs. There's a lot of stuff that Salehi has done, and all of it has been head turning. Whether you like it or not, whether you care or not, it's been amazing stuff that has been in lifestyle, that has been in sport, that has been in like hiking trail if you're into those junipers, and of course the aforementioned upcoming Puma hoops. Salehi Bembury, definitely in the starting 5. If I was gonna put a position to where he would play, well, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. Next up, Grace Wales Bonner, who has continued to be on the starting lineup. In fact, all of these starters in this starting 5 were starters in the starting 9 and the starting 11. Grace Wales Bonner, who I think is neck and neck for #1 collaborator draft pick designer in the Adidas stable. What she's been able to do stretches, toes the line between high fashion and regular old lifestyle shoes and apparel. It's just high-end stuff, some for some people, some not for some people. And, you know, look, a lot of it can be a little much to some, but sometimes you want that added little extra when it comes to your sneakers. And there are men's sneakers, there are women's sneakers. Grace Wales Bonner continues to set a very high bar for other designers and collaborators with Adidas. Third up, Joe Freshgoods. That's right. He has done amazing work with New Balance. You can see the creativity and the storytelling that goes into his sneaker designs. Number 4, the rookie in the starting 11, the rookie in the starting 9, and the rookie in the starting 5, Nigel Sylvester, who I've said for, is this the 3rd or 4th video now, that Nigel Sylvester, in my opinion, is the most important designer / collaborator in Nike Jordan brand's stable. He brings youth, he brings energy, he brings excitement, and he brings a brand new silhouette with his 4RM Jordan. Others have tried to launch their own silhouettes and have had moderate success other than the first iteration of it, but we are seeing stuff coming out in apparel, his upcoming Jordan 4s, plural, and this is going to take the world by storm, the sneaker world by storm, enough to where I think he's got a lot of juice, a lot of momentum in a way that some of the other influencers / collaborators don't have. And for that, the storytelling, the design, all of that going hand in hand. Nigel, rookie of the year in this starting 5, and rookie of the year, most important designer / collaborator in the Jordan brand Nike stable. And 5th in our starting 5, J-Tips. I have continuously sang his praises. He has had shoes that are in the discussion for shoe of the year the last 2 years, or was it 3 years? At least 2 years, that's for sure. If not 3, he has taken a brand that a lot of people were not familiar with in hyped up sneaker culture and brought it to the forefront where people are going like, wow, Saucony, J-Tip's doing great stuff with Saucony. He is doing so much. And a lot of people think this is a compliment where they're like, oh, I'd love to see what he would do with Nike or a Jordan or blah, blah, blah. And yes, I think a lot of people would love to design a Nike, would love to design a Jordan and to have their take on it. But Saucony has seemingly opened up everything to him and letting him do whatever he wants, however he wants to do it, within reason, I am sure. And he has taken Saucony into a stratosphere of hype and sneaker culture that they have not experienced ever, or at least in quite a while. So it's because of that J-Tips is solidly in this starting 5. He's only last because of alphabetical order, I can assure you. So we went from a starting 9 of baseball to a starting 5 of basketball. So that means we had to move some players to the bench, and we had to drop some bench players from the starting 9 out of the bench completely in this starting 5. So let's talk about the players, designers / collaborators that are now sitting on the bench for this starting 5. Bad Bunny, who is one of the most important influencers, collaborators, designers in Adidas's stable. I keep using that term. I've talked about his latest album, the connection people are having on internet and music and all that stuff. Bad Bunny is probably the best, I know I'm gonna infuriate some people, the best, the brightest singer / celebrity that a sneaker brand has. Yes, I'm talking about Mr. Backward Swoosh, who just walks into a room and goes, that one, I like that one. It's probably cooler than that, but it all boils down to that. Bad Bunny, extremely important to the 3 stripes in Adidas, and his shoes continue to be fantastic. I hope that we will see more and more of risks being taken with famous iconic silhouettes, maybe new silhouettes, all that kind of stuff. But the future is very bright for Bad Bunny and Adidas. He's just not starting 5 caliber, and that's okay. He's on the bench. 6th man of the year? It could be. I'd love to hear what you think. Action Bronson, another one in New Balance's list of just fantastic, unique, innovative, distinctive designers and collaborators. I don't think that he has more juice than a Joe Freshgoods or a Salehi Bembury when it comes to New Balance, but he's definitely right there. He's definitely someone that will get solid minutes in the regular season and in the playoffs. But again, not quite there to cut into the top 5, but a solid bench player. Edison Chen and Clot. To me, if I was using older basketball terms, or players rather, he's like a Robert Horry. He's like a Steve Kerr. He's like someone who was at the top of their game, a Jason Kidd. And then now he's older, but is wiser, and they've said, we should put you on the bench. You're going to come off the bench and do some great things, but let's let the younger people start. Manu Ginobili, if you're a Spurs fan, of the 5-time NBA World Champion San Antonio Spurs. But to me, he's that veteran. He's that person that you need on the bench. He comes in and gives you some solid points. If you're Robert Horry, you come in and you make a bunch of threes and you win NBA World Champions with how many different teams? Did he win with the Bulls? Did he win with the Astros? The Rockets, because I don't care. The Spurs, the Lakers. Oh my God. Clutch, Mr. Clutch himself. Edison Chen, Clutch, Clot. It works. It works. He's a solid 6th man. And then lastly, Ronnie Feig. Ronnie Feig to me is more of an overall designer now, but that doesn't take away from his contributions to Asics or Adidas or other silhouettes and brands that he has worked on, Clarks, for example. He is a powerhouse now, a name where you could just say Ronnie and you would know who it is. You could say Feig or you could say Kith. He's like 3 one-worded, one-named people that everyone in the community gets, and he's doing such high-level collaborations with such high-level corporations, companies, brands, that it's hard to not include him at least on the bench for this. I don't think that what he's doing specifically with shoes is worthy enough to be in the top 5, but he's a solid bench player. You need him there. He's on there. He is in garbage time, or he is on the day when the stars need to take a rest, so he'll start like a few games, but for the most part, he's a deep bench player. That's for sure, at least in my book. And as mentioned, for this video, I decided to put together an alternate starting lineup, a starting 5 of the youngish, I put it in quotes, I'll put it in rock and roll, hook 'em horn quotes, youngish designers / collaborators in the sneaker game. It's 5. It's 5. They are not there yet to be in the starting 5. They're not there yet to be on the bench. But I think these are 5 designers that are young enough, new enough to the game, that are definitely worth keeping an eye on, because they have released some collaborations, some designs that turn your head and go, oh, and maybe it's only a small handful, but the future is bright. And you're looking at the Heisman odds. I know I've cross metaphor and analogized my sports, but if you're looking at like, this could be a rookie. I mean, Nigel's the rookie of the year in this analogy. These are people to keep your eye on if they were going to be drafted. I know I just said they're in the G League, but all right, here we go. G League in alphabetical order. First up, we have Nina Chanel Abney, who was not ever a starter in the 11 or the 9, but was a bench player for the starting 11. I know that there have been more collaborations than the 3 that came out in 2024. We had both of those 2s that she had done, and I liked them. I had them. I didn't wear them because I didn't find them terribly comfortable, or if I wore them once, and then I got rid of them. I think that her design language is going to carry forth, and I think she's going to be able to do some amazing things, as evidenced by what she did with that Jordan 3. But I'm not quite sure she is on the level to be a bench player in the big show. Definitely a starter in the G League for the team of your choice. Next up, J Balvin, who has had 4 very solid collaborations with Jordan Brand. I would say the original Rio is the number 1, the Black Rio is the number 2, then his Jordan 1, and then his Jordan 2. I think a lot of people, the consensus is maybe the 2's the weakest on there, though I've worn the 2 more than I've worn the 1, so maybe I put the 2 above the 1. I don't know. Regardless, 4 solid collaborations, more than your Nina Chanel Abney, more successful, more hyped, but I'm not sure that he's there to knock off a Bad Bunny. So not a starter, not a bench player, a starter on the G League, J Balvin. Kids of Immigrants. To my knowledge, this Nike Sunder was their first sneaker collaboration, or at the very least, their first huge sneaker collaboration. How huge? That if people had waited until the end of the year to do their end of the year lists, these Sunders would be on everybody's list, and we're not talking 10th place. I think it's a top 5 sneaker of the year shoe, especially if you're going like, oh, I think the Wu-Tang Dunks, or I think the Black Cement 3s, like, yawn. You mean retros? You mean shoes that were good 25, 30 years ago? Can they be shoes of the year? I don't think so, but that's just me. I don't think that a shoe that was designed 40 years ago and they just retroed it should be a shoe of the year, unless they do something different to it, like a reimagine. But regardless, Kids of Immigrants, they're Sunders. That purple one, I have the orange one. I haven't got the purple one yet, but those are definitely top 5 shoes of the year. And this is a moonshot of a debut for Kids of Immigrants. If this is what they are bringing to the table with Nike for regular old Nike shoes, or some Jordans, or maybe another sneaker company that wants to work with them, count me super duper excited. Cautiously though, that's why they're not a bench player, and that's why they're not a starter, but they're in the G League. 4th in our G League starting 5, and forgive me if I mispronounce her name, Michua Bianchi Prada Miu Miu. Now, Miu Miu is not new to the game, not new to the design game by any stretch, and I believe if my Bianchi Prada is the lead designer for Prada, or pretty high up there. And Miu Miu's been working with New Balance in 2022. So that's why I put it in quotes when I said new. It's like 3 years involved in the New Balance, but there have been some amazing Miu Miu New Balance collaborations in the last year or so that go for way too much money on resale for a New Balance shoe. But the risk-taking, the design language, just the overall look into it, it's fantastically amazing, to the point where I wish I could afford them, but then like certain things, I couldn't buy this and that. And regardless, if the prices ever came down, or if I was able to get it for retail, I definitely would get them. But I think what Miu Miu is doing with New Balance is just fantastic. I don't know that because it's not attainable for a normal type person, that it should be on the bench. And I don't know that the bench is deep enough in Miu Miu's work with New Balance. But it's definitely something that if they continue on this trajectory, bench player for sure, maybe a starter at some point, but for now, a starter in the G League. And then our 5th starter in the G5, again, why I said youngish, Junya Watanabe with the New Balance, specifically the 1906L, that loafer shoe that many people laughed at and thought that was ridiculous. And look who's laughing now, because there's multiple colorways, multiple ideas, fashion sites, and not just like sneaker blogs, but your Vogues, your GQs, they're taking notice of this, and they're like, this is something. And I'm not entirely well-versed in research and just how much Watanabe has done in general sneakers, not just high-end fashion sneakers, but with like your New Balances and etc. And going through the Instagram, stuff like that, it seems like Watanabe is way more into apparel fashion. And if this is the direction that they see going in sneakers, whether it's New Balance or other sneaker brands, count me intrigued. Count me very like, yes, I would like to subscribe to their newsletter and I want to know everything that's coming out because I want that 1906L. There've been other shoes that I've gotten instead of, but it's always there on the GOAT app staring at me like, yeah, I should get that shoe. It will be mine. I will have it and I can't wait to rock it. What a great collaboration that is, and what vision to do that type of thing, and what bravery to take a New Balance 1906L and make it a loafer. Like, I'd say bravery, not in like running into a burning building, but bravery like, what if we did this? And then they did it, and they released it, and it's amazing. Because of that, I think Junya Watanabe is a starting five in the G League. Very well could move up, we'll see, to the bench and the starting lineup. And just like in our previous video where I took the starting 9 designers and I said, what position would they play on the baseball diamond? We're doing that this time. The starting 5, what positions do I think they would play on the basketball court? I've figured it out. Basketball, not my number 1, 2, maybe 3rd sport of knowledge, so I'm going off of kind of looks and body frame, but also body of work. I'd be interested to hear what you think in the comment section down below where I might have been wrong or could be adjusting some things. And yes, I looked up the literal names of the positions on the internet. Look, I'm a fan of the San Antonio Spurs, and I know that there are some position titles that are like ambiguous. Like, well, they say he's a center, but he's more like a power forward. He's more. I picked the 5 positions. I assigned them to our starting 5. Let's go to the chalkboard and let you know what I think. All right, we're back at the chalkboard where I'm going to assign positions to who I think are the top 5 designers / collaborators for sneakers. This will be in alphabetical order. And as I mentioned again, I just want to clarify, I'm not a basketball player. I like watching basketball, and I have a pretty average understanding of positions in basketball players and whatnot. So bear with me. Let me know in the comment section down below. This will probably be the most wrong I will be on assigning positions. So let me know where you think would be right. Starting again in alphabetical order, we have Salehi Bembury, who I think would be our shooting guard. So Bembury is our shooting guard here. Maybe it's a youth thing, maybe it's a build thing, I don't know. Salehi Bembury is our shooting guard. We move to Grace Wales Bonner, and maybe it's the Tony Parker, maybe it's the Jason Kidd, but I think Wales Bonner would be our point guard. It's a size thing, I get it. You're gonna be like, no, I think this. You know, and also, I freely acknowledge that today's basketball is different than the basketball I grew up with and know and love. I saw Jordan play. I saw Larry Bird play, Dominique Wilkins, all of that, all the way through the dynasty domination of your 5-time NBA world champion San Antonio Spurs. Now it's just a whole bunch of shooting threes from the perimeters and nobody's going down the lane and running. Ugh. Maybe has the league gone soft? Put that in the comment section down below. Joe Freshgoods. I realized the correlation to this position, but I didn't do that on purpose. But I think Joe Freshgoods is our power forward. Joe Freshgoods. Is that right? That sounds about right, doesn't it? I don't know. You know, none of these guys are like LeBron level linebackers. I mean, there's one that's kind of a bigger guy, but I wouldn't say they're like LeBron, right? Like LeBron. Maybe more built like a Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't that big of a guy. I mean, he was tall, but he wasn't big. We move to Nigel Sylvester, our youth, our rookie of the year, and I think he's a small forward. Nigel Sylvester, small forward. Which leaves our center, and yes, I will acknowledge this is probably more of a Shaquille O'Neal type size, and this was the only one left. I think J-Tips is our center. So if we look at our starting 5 and the positions that I think, Joe Freshgoods is our power forward, Salehi Bembury is our shooting guard, Grace Wales Bonner's our point guard, Nigel Sylvester's our small forward, and J-Tips is our center. So there we have it, the positions for the starting 5 of who I think would be my best slash favorite sneaker designers slash collaborators. Now I mentioned the starting five, I mentioned the bench, and I mentioned the G League. But we went from 9 plus a bench to 5 plus a bench, and we lost a lot of people. We lost a lot of people that were on the bench in the starting 9, but didn't even cut it this time. Those people were Takes Off Glasses, Chris Gibbs, Union LA, Jerry Lorenzo, Fear of God, Jound, Cynthia Liu, Cactus Plant Flea Market, James Whitner, Shoemmelier, and Pharrell Williams. So in the comment section down below, you got a lot if you made it all the way to the end to talk about. Number one, what do you think about my starting 5? What do you think about that 5? Solid? Who would you take out? Who would you put in? Etc. What do you think about the bench? I only picked 4 bench players. What do you think about those bench players? Should just any of them been switched? Who did I leave out? Then we have the G League, my up-and-comers that I think are youngish in the game to keep an eye on, but I know some of them are not young, but I listed 5 G Leaguers, and then I gave you positions for what I think these designers slash collaborators would play in a hypothetical fantasy game of actual starting 5 basketball. A lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. If you haven't gone back and watched the starting 11, go back and watch it. If you haven't watched the starting 9, go back and watch it. If you're watching the starting 5, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this starting 5, and I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to 2 people. Number one, anytime I mention Grace Wales Bonner, got a shout out Amado, who runs the Encyclopedia Sneakerica. You can look it up on the Instagram. I'll put something there, very detailed. You need time to read through the blogs. It's not something you can read while you're watching TV or while you're at a stoplight in the car. Like, you need to, your kids are not bothering you, the TV's not on, you've walked the dog, because it is not light reading. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot about sneakers, sneaker history, in-depth stuff. I have said for months, maybe not years, that his would be a podcast or YouTube channel that is needed in the space. Shout out to Amado for all that and for pointing my head in the way of Grace Wales Bonner. And then Harrison Cable, who I've been on his podcast twice, and it was a combination of Amado and Harrison who kind of gave me the inspiration to assign positions to these designers. So go check out Harrison's YouTube channel as well. If you at the very least watch the ones where I was on, but you can watch the other ones. Also, both these guys are on Instagram. Amado's only on Instagram. Harrison's on Instagram and YouTube. So let's talk about all of this in the comment section down below. The next video may be the last one because we go from 11 to 9 to 5. We get into the Mount Rushmore. We take a pause from our sports analogies where it's the Mount Rushmore, the top 4 designers. Only 4 of these. It's 4 of these. That's it. No bench, no G League. 4. And there's no like alternate because there's not like an alternate little Mount Rushmore, little Rushmore. It's 4. And then we go to the big 3 like basketball. Then we go to singles or doubles tennis rather 2. And then pick your single sport, pool, golf, tennis. So we're counting down to who I think is the top slash best slash favorite sneaker designer slash collaborator. Spoiler alert, the 4 are in here, the 3 are in here, the 2 are in here, and the 1 is in here. Who do you think it's gonna be? Why don't you put that in the comment section down below? So thanks for keeping up with all these videos. I'm having a lot of fun doing this type of stuff because it's not just a standard, regular old sneaker review, but it allows us to have a conversation about sneakers. But it's sneaker designers slash collaborators. And I also get to put my opinions out there and get to put lists and rankings, which I love. So to all of you out there, wherever you are, thanks for watching. Stay tuned and just chill. Till the next episode.